Hey folks, it's Jim from the Movie Rewind, here to review John Carter, now on DVD. The film follows war-weary Captain John Carter, who has lost everything within the Civil War, and is inexplicably transported to Mars, where he reluctantly becomes involved in a battle between its inhabitants. There he meets Princess Dejar of Helium at war with the city of Zodanga, who encourages him to find a path. For better or worse, there's far more exposition regarding the film's plot that I won't go into. I was relatively surprised with John Carter. Is it a great film? No, and sadly it could have been, but I still enjoyed this mess because I found that there was plenty to like. The financial failure of John Carter is rather disappointing. While I'm glad the movie-going public is resistant to making every film a success, leading to future sequels, I don't entirely get the attacks on this film from the get-go, way before it was released. Many felt it was too familiar to what we've seen before, like something like Avatar. I won't deny that, but no offense, when has that stopped audiences? We practically rush out to see a sequel every week. Maybe if they had titled it John Carter 2, they could have fooled people into thinking it was already an established and popular franchise. With a somewhat complicated plot, it was hard to market the film within TV spots and trailers. Not a sequel to any other film, and with a leading actor mostly unknown to most moviegoers, John Carter was an interesting, admirable gamble from Disney, but most of the public didn't see it that way. Did I miss something about Avatar? Sure, I enjoyed it, and visually we'd never seen anything like it before, but its story is as traditional as it comes, and it wasn't particularly fresh. So why does John Carter undergo these criticisms, but Avatar largely doesn't? Maybe it was the lack of knowledge of the John Carter series, though I've heard of them in passing, but from what I understand, they have left their stamp within science fiction writing, and certainly many adults must be familiar with it. Even one of my close friends, through his father, had read several of them, completely baffled by the lack of financial success. It's a damn shame that Disney didn't try switching up their marketing enough to show the roots of where so many popular films have come from. The answer, John Carter. Now onto the story. If Avatar suffered from being far too simple and fairly predictable, then John Carter suffers from a far too dense story, even with a 132-minute running time. The film has everything from some ninth ray of infinite energy and power to some sacred river of suicide. These plot details fail in comparison to any of the actual solid character moments. It was often hard for me to keep up with various names and subplots. Also, while I think director Andrew Stanton, who directed such films as Finding Nemo and WALL-E, is a natural storyteller, John Carter is a bit clumsy, moving far too fast and yet at times overstaying its welcome. If John Carter feels a bit familiar, it's due to the fact that cinema has borrowed greatly from the works of Edgar Rice Burroughs before, with films like Conan the Barbarian, Star Wars, and once again, Avatar. A character of the highest military order is called a Jeddak within the film. Sound familiar? Some of the TV spots highlighted this, but by then it was far too late to save the movie. Of course, John Carter coming to the big screen only now isn't for a lack of trying, as Disney has been trying to make the film since the 1950s. John Carter excels quite a bit in characterization. These are familiar and old archetypes, but they're almost welcome to see on the big screen again. Carter, played by Taylor Kitsch, who is charismatic enough, is a mix between the heroics of Luke Skywalker and the passive qualities of badass Han Solo. He's given a past which I think is subtly integrated into the movie, and it creates a lot of personal conflict, paralleling the events within the present. For me, his arc is much more satisfying than most blockbusters as of late have to offer, and not to beat a dead horse, but I felt it was much better than that of Jake's in Avatar. Princess Dejar, played by Lynn Collins, whose looks could prove to an atheist the existence of God, will remind people of Princess Leia rather than just being a damsel in distress. Mark Strong plays his 56th bad guy in a row, but damn is he good at it. The guy's got such a screen presence, and he never seems to be playing the same bad guy more than once. There's also some terrific supporting performances from Dominic West, Ciarán Hinds, James Purefoy, and Bryan Cranston, as well as William Dafoe, Samantha Morton, and Thomas Hayden Church, using motion capture to play the green Martian Tarks. Visually, while John Carter is breathtaking and inventive, the overall story hinders the action a bit. Most of these sequences feel abbreviated and are spread throughout the film. Earlier on, the film feels a bit clumsy because there's so much ground to cover, and the last action sequence in particular is disappointing. Still, there's a sense of joy, humor, and adventure, warranted or not. John Carter's first jump sequence doesn't fire on all cylinders, making us feel like a kid again experiencing near flight, but John Carter is a bit closer to the tone of what the Star Wars prequels should have been without the lame comic relief characters that step in the crap. However, I will say, given the swordplay and the beheadings, John Carter might not entirely be for kids under the age of 10, but at least the film is never as jarringly off tonal-wise like Revenge of the Sith. Overall, John Carter isn't without its flaws, but it's not without its strengths, of which I think many have ignored. So if you're looking for something to rent, I'd say this is worth checking out. That's it for the Movie Rewind. Have a good day, folks. Until next time.